How's everybody doing today? It's Sunday, it's South by.
Ew.
All right. Good energy in here. Great. I know, it's a struggle. All right, I'm going to pull it out of you, though. We're going to have some fun here. We'll start off. My name's Hunter Weeks. I'm with EVERFI, Blackbaud Company, Corporate Impact. Introduce my amazing panelists here, so let you introduce yourselves.
My name is Ember Garrett. I'm Executive Director of Public Relations at Allergan Aesthetics. Most of you may not know what the heck an Allergan Aesthetics is, but you do know what we make. We make Botox cosmetic. I'm sure you guys have heard of Botox, so it's great to be here with you guys.
Hi, I'm Jane Reynolds. I am Director of Product Marketing at OkCupid. I've been there for over 7 years, so I always say it's my most successful relationship thus far. It's been amazing, but responsible for working with the product team really closely on creating features that really help people match on what matters to them. And I'm proud to work at a company that is responsible for almost 100 million matches every year, so excited to be here.
Woo-hoo.
Botox is my most successful relationship so far.
So we have a great topic today. I know when you think of OkCupid and Botox, the first thing that you think about is cause marketing. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about. I work for a social impact technology company. Cause marketing and social impact marketing is very important to me and to us and to what we do. And so I'm really excited about digging behind the brands and understanding some of the cause marketing that your brands do, why it's important. We're going to talk about some return on investment when it comes to social impact marketing. But I'm excited to jump into this. And, first, I said it jokingly, when you think of OkCupid or Botox, you think of cause marketing, and we got a chuckle, and that was there. But it is important to both of your brands. So I guess just starting off, beyond the jokes, why is it important to your brands to have a social voice, to engage in cause marketing with your platforms?
Yeah, I mean, dating is such an emotional thing, right? And when you're looking for someone to even hook up with or have a relationship with, you're looking to at least align on those core values. And so that's why cause marketing is so important to OkCupid. I will say, just as a company, it's important to us. And so it makes me feel good that we're able to kind of find a parallel between the things that are important to the people who work at OkCupid and also our consumers, because they're looking to match on the things that are important to them. And that's the causes they support. Of course, we have found, certainly in the past 5 years, things are more divisive as far as politics and things that people care about more than ever. And it's become so much more integral into dating, right? Back in the day, it was you met someone that you went to school with or you went to church or synagogue with, and you kind of knew your values aligned. Dating online has certainly opened things up in a really amazing way, but you're just not as aware. And so therefore you can find people on dating apps and make sure that you are matching on the things that you really care about. And many of those are those cause marketing things that we support.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think for Botox Cosmetic, it really does make a lot of sense. And as a company, corporately, we do a ton. We're owned by a pharmaceutical company. The patient comes first. And it's very interesting to say patient when you think about Botox Cosmetic, because it is a cash pay product. You go see your dermatologist. It's something you do for yourself. And I think for us, there's the Botox effect. So if somebody has bad plastic surgery, we get blamed for it. If somebody feels insecure about if they want Botox or not, there's this brag of I'm humble bragging, I don't need Botox, I don't want Botox. But there's an emotional connection to our product. And we were really talking about it and thinking about the people who are loyalists, the people who love us. They truly love us. They call us their baby boat. They come to us regularly, and it's something they do for themselves. It's part of what they do to help themselves feel more confident. So for us to say hey, we don't want to give back, it just doesn't make sense for us. It's important that we're taking really good care of you. That's why training is important to us. That's why we do all kinds of really educational marketing, but it's also making that emotional connection as well, especially as with more competitors coming into the space. So for us, it really was, you guys think you know who we are, but you would be shocked to find out who we really are and how much we care. The majority of the Botox Cosmetic marketing team is women. And a lot of people are shocked to hear that, because a lot of people just assume there's a bunch of old pharma dudes hanging out in an office telling women what to do. That'd be terrible.
That would not work, right?
Yeah, it's not the case. There's a bunch of really brilliant women behind that, and we want to help elevate other brilliant women, which is why we ended up doing what we did.
My wife and my mom were really psyched on me hosting this panel, by the way. So that's awesome. So let's talk about the main program you talked to me about, I Fund Women. So first of all, just tell us an overview of I Fund Women and kind of the purpose behind that program.
Yeah, so what's interesting is I Fund Women is another organization. A lot of people assume that because what they focus on is providing grants and mentorship to women entrepreneurs, that they're a nonprofit. They are not. They're a for-profit organization. So we partnered with I Fund Women to identify 20 women entrepreneurs who have very interesting, fascinating businesses and stories. And we provided them with $25,000 in grants. We also gave them a little surprise and delight last year, so it ended up being $35,000 per grant recipient. We provided them with coaching, and we accidentally, but it was a happy accident, provided them with a network. We brought them together and let them meet each other. And we got more feedback on that network that they built than even the money. They're like, this is more valuable. They had cross collabs, they're marketing with each other, they're lifelong friends, they found sorority sisters. It's amazing. So that was our first year. Second year is launching. The grant application is open, so if anybody knows a woman entrepreneur out there looking to build her business, please encourage her to look us up and apply, because we want to find 20 more women. We're giving them $25,000 additional coaching, and we are really leaning into that making community opportunities, because being an entrepreneur can be very lonely. We don't want anyone to feel lonely.
And are there any, I know you said you launched it, it's been the first year, second year is happening now with your partnership. Do you know of any of the stories of the women from the first year? Was there anything that came out of it? I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything cool that came out of that we could talk about?
No, don't get me started. So I'm crazy. I know every single woman's story.
I love it. All right, let's hear it.
But I think, most top of mind for me is there is a woman who owns a wine company, a Black woman who owns a wine company, and she is one of 60 Black women in that industry. Wow. One of 60. Wow. Everybody else is, your older white gentlemen. No offense, we love our old white guys, but there's not representation. And so she felt very alone. And she actually ran into a former sorority sister, didn't realize, who created a clothing line for women who are over 6 feet tall. If you're not a woman over 6 feet tall, you don't get it. It is really, really, really hard to get dressed. I grew up wearing men's jeans because I'm 6 feet tall. This woman is 6'1". So it feels very niche. And they both went through a lot of people telling them, you're niche, you don't have a place. And they're like, no, you don't understand, I'm important. You don't understand, this is really important. And there was a lot of assumption on their level of education, their capability. And when someone believed in them, gave them money, they were able to just turn that one thing over and see success. Krishan was just talking about how she's got her 5-year plan to sell and go chill on a beach and start her second business with her husband. I'm just turning 50, I'm getting married for the first time, and she's excited for that future.
Met on Tinder.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not turning 50, but I mean Botox, yeah, sure. No, I'm not turning 50, but I did just get engaged. I met on Tinder, so I owe Tinder a lot of, OkCupid a lot of love. But no, there's these amazing stories, and these women did like a cross collab, a pop-up of wine and fashion, because the two do go together. Yeah. A lot of people assume they don't, but they do. And these women are raising their hands. They want to volunteer to help the next class of grant recipients. I think there used to be that feeling of like women are threatened by other women. We don't elevate each other. Like, you have to pay your dues to get in this door. That's not it anymore. They're literally reaching their hand out the door saying, get in here with me. Like, how can I help you? How can I help you grow your business? So for me, I think that was one of the most rewarding pieces, is seeing these women not just be totally into what we're doing, but then put their hand out and pull other entrepreneurs in and help elevate them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we can get a woo for that. That's woo worthy, right? I love it. Amazing. Well, Jane, I'm going to switch to you. And, you talked about OkCupid taking a lot of stances behind Planned Parenthood. So let's talk a little bit about that. How did that, kind of come about? Why was that, why was Planned Parenthood chosen? Why was that important to make it a part of your platform?
Yeah, so, we first started working with Planned Parenthood in 2017 because it was right when Trump was threatening to defund Planned Parenthood. And we really looked to our users to tell us what they want. OkCupid, we have 15 questions that you have to answer when you onboard and create your profile. We see what people are writing in their profiles. And right at that time, we started seeing more and more women writing, if you do not support Planned Parenthood, if you do not support someone's right to choose,
wow,
swipe left. And OkCupid is a super inclusive app, very LGBTQ friendly, but dating apps historically, it's kind of like where like your focus is like on the straight woman, and then like where everyone else will come in. You kind of equate it to like ladies' night at a bar, like where women are, men will come, and so that's kind of like the key demo that we generally focus on. And so at that time, we were like, well, okay, the users are telling us what they want, right? So like, let's make it even easier to filter that out, right? So we created a Planned Parenthood badge and filter where it was, if you support Planned Parenthood, you only want to find people who are pro-reproductive rights. It's that much easier. And I will say, like, one interesting thing that you do run into is there is, certainly some backlash to that. And also, well, why aren't you providing the alt, right? Like, why aren't you providing the people who are, the pro-life? And I found that, like, as a company, you do have to take a stake in the ground, right? Like, this is something that's important to our company. And so you can't please everyone. And so we need to cater to our core demo, but then we also need to cater to the people who work at our company and the people who are really, keeping the lights on. And so we started working with them then. Since then, when Roe versus Wade was overturned, we made it even more prominent in the U.S. We ask you, are you pro-choice in those 15 onboarding questions? So we know it's that important to people that they want that of all the questions. We have thousands of questions on OkCupid, but everyone in the U.S. answers that question in order to create their profile.
So let's explore the divisiveness here a bit, right? Because obviously brands, want to, not all brands, but a lot of brands tread lightly around those areas, right? And so when you think of cause marketing, there's kind of two different examples here. Promoting women, supporting and empowering female entrepreneurs and female business. It's a very large net that you're casting, right? When you're kind of taking a stance on a more politically divisive issue, obviously that's going to split the room. I'm just curious what kind of pushback you've gotten, feedback that you've gotten. Has there been, like you said, we don't offer the other option. I mean, has there been pushback from that side? Have you felt that as a brand, as an organization? How'd you deal with that?
Yeah. The pushback we get is great PR. I mean, you can really stretch that dollar when you have people ripping down your ads in the subway that say, like,
wow,
for everyone who's pro-choice. I mean, that's what goes viral. I will say, too, we found that there are studies that being pro-choice is good for business. I hesitate to even say that because, again, like, this is something that regardless of whether it's even good for business or not, good for the bottom line, it shouldn't matter. But companies that support this make more money, employees are happier. So we found that for OkCupid, it just really was like a great fit, and a great fit with our market. We're largely like urban based, and find that our demo certainly leans left.
So talk about, the business metrics behind it, right? I'd love to hear about this. And Ember, I'll throw it back to you. You had talked about some of the conversations you had with executives as you're pushing some ideas to get approved, right? Pushing them up the ladder. Talk about that, and how do you talk about the business case behind cause marketing?
So that's an interesting one because I think we did have to prove that this made sense to do. I mean, you're a marketer, your budget's only so much. I think we all would love to double, triple our marketing budget, PR budget. And you have to make the case of, like, if we have $1 to spend, does it make sense to spend $1 here where we know it's going to make a sale? It's going to put, as we say, butts in seats, because we're not really a direct-to-consumer brand. You still have to go to a healthcare provider to receive the treatment. So I have to sell the product to the healthcare provider. I have to convince you to come into the office and ask for it by name and not be vulnerable to a point-of-sale switch. So it's a little bit more complex. So we do want to make sure that we're getting a return on our investment. And so when the PR girl goes rolling in and says, we should give money away, it's not the most popular thing to do. But we did our research. I have amazing partners. My consumer marketing partner was right there with me. And we broke out our follower base and our user base and said, no, they want companies to stand for something. They're looking for us to stand for something. We are a legacy brand at this point. We're over 20 years old. People know who we are. They know what we do. They have an assumption around, like, our brand ethos. This is where we need to make an emotional connection. We need to demonstrate who we are. And so we showed the data behind that. We went so far as to survey considerers of Botox Cosmetic, users of Botox Cosmetic, and healthcare providers. And we said, would this make a difference to you? Do you want us to do this? resounding yes. Who should we support? Where should we show up? And it was babies, puppies, and women. And we're like, well, let's think about who our users are. I don't want anyone to think I'm like saying, let's give babies Botox, because we are not, absolutely not. That is off label, please no. But we were like, women make total sense. The majority of our user base is women. They have been loyal to us for 20 years. You don't get to be a legacy brand like this without users. How do we support them? How do we elevate them? So we started with I Fund Women. We heard some staggering statistics behind the amount of VC funding that goes to women. Women get less than 3% of all VC funding. BIPOC-owned businesses, less than 1%. There's an area where we need to just show up and help, because it's important. We need these diverse businesses. We need these people out here like living their dream. And that really resonated with us. So we're like, yeah, this is where we're going to show up. We learned about this thing called the confidence gap. Confidence is a very interesting thing. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Those moments when you don't have it and you just need that well-placed compliment that I believe in you. Here's some money. I think you can actually go make money. That helps close that gap. And so the more we're learning about the confidence gap and understanding what it is that helps close that, the more we're leaning into it. So after this year, we're also going to be doing research into the confidence gap, trying to better understand it and identify additional areas that we can show up for our users and help them close that confidence gap and continue to feel like their strongest, best self as they go out into the world. Yeah. It's not just about looking good. It's about knowing that everybody believes in you and everyone has a right to feel awesome. And that, like, you know, that when you're feeling yourself, when you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I feel myself today.
What up?
Everyone deserves that all the time.
I love it. That's amazing. That's awesome. Similar question, Jane. I mean, you know, talk about from the OkCupid side, you know, what has that done for customer loyalty, for consumer loyalty, for your brand? Have you felt a difference once, you know, since you started really promoting Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, I mean, we do just see like brand perception improve significantly with that core base. And also, just FYI, if you are a guy on a dating app and you say you support Planned Parenthood, your likes increase 4 times.
Oh.
So it is pretty impressive, right? And if you are not, you should not put that, but it does amazing.
Don't lie about it. It'll be terrible conversation on the date, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't end well for you. But we found that the people who are able, you know, it's value signaling. Like the easier it is for you to signal your values, the better your matches and your conversations will be, and then therefore like the better your retention. And of course, we're a dating app. Certainly, like on, you know, OkCupid, you can be polyamorous, you could be looking for, you know, whatever you're looking for. So some people are sticking around, some happy users are sticking around on OkCupid for a long time. That being said, at the end of the day, on the large part, we're in the business of churn, right? Like the point is to, if you are looking for a relationship, get you off the app. And dating apps, especially word of mouth marketing, is so important. So we found that the people who are able to match on these values that they really care about, tell their friends, because again, it's just you feel good about supporting a brand that supports the things that you really care about. And so we found that those are our most loyal customers and the people who, okay, I left OkCupid because I found my match, we aligned on these important things, and now I'm telling everyone about it. I mean, 10 years ago, meeting on a dating app, you were like, sure. No, we met at like it used to be like a go-to thing in your profile, right? Like we can say we met at a bar. Now people are proud. Like they love to be able to say like, I met on OkCupid, I met on like whatever app. And so we've really found that it strengthens that word of mouth marketing that's so important to our industry.
Yeah, love it. Brand loyalty. There was a gentleman upstairs earlier from Albertsons who, I don't know if anybody saw that panel, but similar thing, they have invested a lot into health and well-being of their customers, right? Health scores, providing all these things to really increase the value that they're bringing. And it increased clicks, it increased engagement, it increased brand loyalty tenfold. It was pretty incredible. And so I think it's awesome that you were seeing that as well. That's something that we talk about with brands when we talk about social impact and doing good, and what it can do for your brand perception, customer loyalty, employee loyalty. Do you have any thoughts on that, on employee loyalty? I mean, how proud are people that work for OkCupid, right, that openly support Planned Parenthood to be able to come to work every day knowing that, right, they can be themselves, they can talk about the things they care about, right, and be accepted in the workplace. Talk about that a little bit.
We've found that people, when they interview, say they are interviewing at OkCupid because they whether it's like our pro-choice stance or we were the first dating app to offer dozens of orientations and genders to select when creating your profile. So people saying that like really resonated with them. And I think the great thing about OkCupid is, and Match Group as a whole, is we put our money where our mouth is, and employees are supported in the same way. Like we, certainly like reproductive rights and reproductive health care is so important. If you are in a state where you can not get an abortion, you will be made sure that you can get to a state where you can have an abortion. And so it really infiltrates all aspects of the company, which I think just feels really, authentic is a word that's thrown around a lot, but it's true. It's true. And it really feels authentic and true to the brand and how the company is structured.
I mean, I think obviously we are supporting a different cause, but we did find on our customer base, those who were aware of our program were more likely to be loyal to our product, more likely to use our product. And we also found our employees were very excited to be able to talk about this. Like, if you think about being an employee, you're talking about a brand, you're talking about product claims, you're talking about like what it is that we do. But then to be able to say, and we do something really good, is so refreshing and exciting. I mean, I work for an amazing company. We do a ton, like, across the entire company, the month of September, we give as employees millions of dollars away, and the company matches that. And they'll match you up to $5,000 per employee for the entire year, which is huge because it matches what you care about. But I do remember, like, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, they sent an email out saying, we're a healthcare company. We care about your health care. We are here for you. And I think for a pharmaceutical company, which pharma is very traditionally conservative, to come out and say, you are our employees, you are humans, we care about you, and we are going to email you and tell you that, was huge for all the employees. I think all the women I worked with were like, whatever side you stand on that topic, you still felt good knowing that the company felt it was important enough to reach out to you and say, I care about you, I care about your health and well-being. And there's resources available.
Yeah, and I will say too, like, Match Group recently has started to focus on getting men educated as well. So Match Group as a whole did a partnership with the NBA recently to really like get that education, like not just focused on women, because it isn't just a women's issue, right? And like I know like on our call before you were talking about like wanting to build like strong men. You have two sons and who are supportive and respectful, and I think that's really cool too. Like at the end of the day, like certainly the core issue and the core cause is women, but it affects literally everyone. Yeah. So,
and if you can educate those guys on your apps, then they're going to have better conversations and better dates and better retention, right? So, yeah, make us guys smarter. We need that help, right? You mentioned on the call too, and kind of talking about this, mention it, hey, look, it's a scary time right now to be a woman in the United States. I like to, kind of push boundaries of conversations. I don't think we've really talked about this here at Brand Innovators. I would love to hear your expansion on that and just hear kind of organically from you two on kind of your thoughts on that. And, is that much more of a driver for programs like On Fund Women, for supporting Planned Parenthood? Like, I would just like to hear kind of your, expanse on that thought that you brought up on our pre-call. If you want to, I don't mean to press.
No, no, I mean, I think, look, there's a lot of conversation going around on women, our bodies, what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. It was interesting because you had given us a heads up on this question. Me personally, as an individual not representing my company, I have very strong specific feelings. If anybody would like to get a cocktail later, I'm happy to share those feelings. But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about like legislation over my body, and like maybe outside of reproductive rights, there's only one other area where the government has an opinion on what I do, and I think it's assisted suicide. I don't know beyond that. Like that's like really profound when you think about that. But then when I think about like women's rights in general, just beyond reproductive rights, like let's just think about like where women have been and where we've come from. Like we were just celebrating International Women's Day, female quotient, driving around getting amazing clips, like equal pay for women, yeah. And then you see the history come out and you see the data, and for me to look at a social media post and realize that my mother in the 70s would not have been able to get a line of credit without a man, without a husband, as a woman who has her own career, bought her own house, and has never had to think twice about doing those things, that's a wake-up call. Like, this is a recent phenomenon. Like, one generation above me is looking at me going like, girl, you have no idea how lucky you are. So for me, it's like, yeah, it can be scary, but this is also an opportunity. We have voices, we can be heard, and it is my responsibility to make space for this phenomenon to grow. This next generation, they're not going to be chill about this. They're not going to just sit and let it go. They're going to make noise. They're going to have a conversation. And I think those of us who maybe have a little more platform right now, have a little more like room, let's open the door, let's bring them in, let's have these conversations, because I think that's where real change comes from. So while it's not a political program, I think I Fund Women, partnering with them, supporting women entrepreneurs, giving room for more women's voices, more diverse voices, woman, man, non-binary, transgender, it doesn't matter. There is so much beauty and so much brilliance and amazingness that comes out of every single one of these communities. My perspective is we don't need specific days to celebrate these communities. We need to be thoughtful and create programs and opportunities for everybody to step in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You can get another woo there too, huh?
And I would just encourage the conversation. My gut, based on just like how I've seen things unfold, is I think sometimes companies and potentially men in companies shy away from the conversation because they don't want to say anything wrong. And I understand that fear. You don't want to say anything wrong. As a man, you might not want to comment on like what is going on with a woman's body, but actually like your voices are so important. So I would encourage you to. I understand it's an awkward topic, right? Like I totally understand that, but I think I would encourage people to not shy away from it, because I think just the dialogue and talking about it, giving it a platform, like there's, very few of us are actually experts in this space, and that's okay. And you don't need to be an expert, and you don't need to be a woman to talk about this and discuss it.
I think adding on to that, it shouldn't be provocative for you to ask two women on a panel, what is it like to be a woman today? Like, what are your thoughts, fears, and concerns? Just like it never should be a concern if there's any population that's feeling marginalized, that is marginalized, undersupported. I don't think it's a bad thing to say, what is it like to live in your skin right now, and how can I help you? So that shouldn't be a provocative question, and we need to get to a place where we normalize that. Asking, how can I help? Not provocative.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the business world and the corporate world, and with brands that are here that are some of the largest brands, certainly we all could learn, right, to make those things more normalized, have those conversations, right, regardless of your sexual orientation, your skin color, if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're not non-binary, it doesn't matter, right? Just being open, and I think creating culture, right? Maybe let's talk about that. I mean, talk about a workplace culture or a company culture when you can have those, when you can, right? Like we talked about the loyalty thing. But how much better is the company going to operate when everybody feels good about who they are and who they work with, and has those kind of open lines of communication rather than maybe walking on eggshells because you don't understand someone's background so much, right?
I mean, I think my company does a lot to educate behind all of our employees and what their needs are, and what our culture is, how we live like in the office. I think we have employee resource groups. We have all those formal groups, but then we have some key leaders within the organization who are just very much, they live it day to day. My manager directly, like she was on panel and talked about you can't leave a bloody trail. And she's right. Like, and I think when you say you can't leave a bloody trail, it's as much about what you do as it is about how you do it and how you leave the people you're working with feeling afterwards. And I think doing it the right way, caring about the other people in the room and caring to listen and hear what's being said makes you better at your job, because I can only come from my paradigm.
Sure.
I can best communicate with, girls who have blonde hair, blue eyes, and grew up in Northwest Indiana. Woohoo. But there are a lot more people than this who use Botox Cosmetic.
Sure.
I need those other voices. And I think, the more that we open up and the more that we not just espouse culture and, have really great internal communications articles that come out about culture, but actually live it and have key leaders like my manager who live it day to day and hold you to that standard, that's when culture actually becomes a thing in a company, and it's not just something fun that we point to on a sign on the wall.
Sure. Or culture that happens for 1 week or 1 month when the timing's right?
Yeah, the celebration.
Yeah. Great. Any questions from anybody out here as we're talking through any of these programs or anything so far? Yeah?
We work together, but I swear he didn't plant this question. So I don't know what he's about to say.
Because she's brilliant. So the question was for these brands where maybe you're not getting as much financial support, how are you selling in these programs? And I will say, like, I do candidly work on a brand that does get a lot of financial support. But again, when we're making a decision on where's the return going to be, it is very hard to take something that feels like giving away money and say there's going to be a return on investment here. It really was, I think the piece that really cinched it for us was the research of our customers and of our patients and saying, like, we want this from you. And to be fully honest, it took me 2 years. So me and my partner, we are tenacious AF. And I think it's just like, there's that sense of if something is right, it's right. This is exactly where we need to go. I'm like a dog with a bone when it comes to that. Like, I don't give up. I find the data, I have the conversations. I do more research, I have the conversations. I do more research, I have the conversations. And there were conversations of tell me exactly why not. Like, tell me why we can afford not to do this. Again, I have not just because she's sitting right there. I have an amazing manager who champions me and like makes sure that I get my foot in the door. Like, she'll kick down a door for me. She makes sure I get into the right room to have that conversation and pulls me to the table and says, tell them why we should do this. So I think it's just a matter of listening to your audience, having that data to support it, being authentic, revealing a little bit of yourself, revealing that passion, not being emotional, because we can get labeled emotional very quickly, but showing a little bit of that passion, showing the reason why, showing the data to support it. And eventually you'll get people who are like, yeah, no, this makes sense. There's a reason why this person won't shut up for 2 years.
It's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to give a shameless plug real quick before we get off. Some of you may or may not know Blackbaud and what we do in our corporate impact team, but we provide global software solutions to help organizations measure volunteering, corporate giving, philanthropy, foundation. Our platforms process roughly $100 billion annually in corporate giving. A lot of that company match from AbbVie has gone through our platforms, which we're happy about, and hope to continue to do that. So we'll have to talk about those people too. We also build critical life skill education, and we partner with organizations like the NFL and Truist and the NHL and provide financial literacy, mental health awareness, tools to young kids that are just missing in traditional education. I will encourage everybody to go to thecharacterplaybook.com, which is a website that is our partnership with the NFL. We recently had 2 commercials in the Super Bowl because we run a mental health program with the NFL, and we've reached 2 million students across the country, middle schoolers and high schoolers, teaching them about mental health, anti-bullying, and character development. So we're very proud of the work that we do. We are champions of social impact in corporate world, and these 2 powerhouse women are proof that if you have a message behind your brand, it will increase loyalty, retention, employee loyalty, customer loyalty, brand engagement, all of those things that we've been talking about, and specifically Gen Z as well. So that's something else. If you want to get younger, do good in the community. It'll help. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.